Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei fall in love with Elsha, movie 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video with your friends. I have created my other videos playlist, there you can watch my all videos easily, check out as well. And also check previous parts of this what if. Let's start this video. You aren't running away you bitch, roared Issei to Raynare who was trying to fly away with her wings. No, get away from me you monster. Shouted Raynare and Issei took hold of her leg with his left hand covered in a crimson red gauntlet and brought her closer to him. This is for Aussie you fallen crow, and with one massive punch, Issei punched her into the wall with his right hand. Raynare hit the wall with a lot of force to break it and flew out in the backyard of the church. With his opponent defeated, Issei fell to the ground only to be caught by Kiba. Yo, Casanova, you're late. Said Issei to Kiba. Sorry Issei, President orders were to not intervene. Said Kiba. Prez told you that. Said a shocked Issei. Yes, I told Kiba not to intervene because I have full confidence that you could take her down on your own. Said Rias as she entered the basement with Queen Akeno. And I must say excellent job my adorable pawn. Said Rias. Ara, it looks like Issei did a good job. Said Akeno with a smile on her face and a lick of her lips that sent a little shiver down Issei's spine. Thanks, Akeno. Said Issei to Akeno as she smiled happily. President I brought the trash. Said the small white-haired girl as she throws the unconscious form of the fallen angel on the floor in front of the group. Thank you Kaneko, now Akeno, what do you say about waking up our little guest? Said Rias as she thanked her rook and asked her queen. Yes President. Splash. Raynare was immediately awakened after the cold water hit her body. She looked around, the sight in front of her made her blood chill and her body to shake in fear. Ooh you are finally awake I see. Well, introductions are in order, I'm Rias Gremory, the heiress of the Gremory clan, and these are my adorable servants. You already know my pawn, the others are my Queen Akeno, Rook Kaneko, and the Knight Kiba. Not that was necessary because you're not going to live for long, said Rias to the shocked Raynare. Or more you think you won just because you're here with your servants there are other fallen angels here with me. They will soon come to hell. They won't come to help you because my queen and I finished them off before coming here. I think you can recognize these feathers. You fallen can't see the difference in them from who they are, can't you? Rias stopped the fallen in mid-sentence. Hera overtook Raynare as she saw feathers of her fallen comrades and allies Kalwarnar, Dinasek and Middlet in the hands of Chrisman-haired Princess of Destruction. You want to know why you lost to this boy, fallen angel Raynare? Asked Rias as she looked into the purple eyes of the shaking Raynare. The answer to that is very simple. His sacred gear isn't a twice critical. It's the booster gear, the gauntlet of the Red Dragon of Domination, Aka the Red Dragon Emperor. Explained Rias as Raynare stared at her before her eyes turned to Issei. Yo you are saying that the legendary and one of the most powerful sacred gears in the world is in the hands of this pervert shouted Raynare in disbelief. Yes, it is, and just as it was told it has the power to double one's strength every 10 seconds, and even if given the time he can boost himself to the power that can reach the power of the mass and God. Said Rias calmly. Now that explanation is over it's time to wrap things up here and go home, but first, we need to return Twilight Healing that you stole from cute little Asya, so prepare yourself, this is the end of you, fallen angel Raynare. You made a lot of trouble for my adorable little pawn and his friend. As she said that in her hand black orb of destruction started to gather in volume. Just before she was to fire the magic that can destroy anything, a new voice made itself known. Me, here? Shouted a very unwelcome guest. Fried save me, I will do anything, just get me out of here. Shouted Raynare at Fried who took time to think about it. Anything? I always wanted to have sex with a fallen angel. Yes, that would be a good price for saving you said Fried in his relaxed tone. Don't be an idiot and save me already you buffoon. Yelled Raynare back as she was getting really angry at the laid-back priest while her life was at stake. No sex. No save. Even if I try, I can't beat all of them together, so I will leave you. Have fun. Said Fried as he looked around till he spotted Issei and had a large smile on his face. Issei, you have such beautiful power with you. I'm getting more and more excited about killing you. So when we see each other again let's have a beautiful and romantic fight to the death, okay. Said Fried with a wink making Issei shiver from clear bloodlust that the crazy priest has. Bye, have fun with her. Said Fried before running away from the group. Now Raynare it's time to finish this. Said Rias now that the crazy priest was gone. Raynare for her part was trembling out of fear now that her one way out was gone, she looked around and saw her last bit of hope to get out of here alive. Issei help me, please help me. Raynare said in her Yuma voice that was even more pleading. Why should I help you? You deceived and killed me, and now you did the same to Asya, why should I help you? Said Issei with his head down, hair hiding his eyes. Although he still felt bad for her, even though she did kill him, she was still his first girlfriend. Please Issei, I will do anything just helps me, together we can beat those devils. Raynare said with her eyes full of tears. She still had little hope that she could manipulate Issei into helping her. That's enough of you, fallen angel. I will not allow you to manipulate my cute adorable servant's emotions even more. Is that understood? Said Rias as she put her hand on Issei's shoulder, which made him a little calmer. Seeing this, Raynare understood what had happened and how Issei was back to the land of the living after she blasted a hole in his guts. She saw literally the last chance of saving her. Issei, how can you trust her? Raynare said to Issei, who lifted his head to look at her like she had grown a second head. She is my master, she saved me. Issei simply stated. Oh, and how did that come about? Asked Raynare now that she felt a little bit of her confidence coming back. The old devils tense at that full well how it came about and that it would lead to catastrophe if Issei found out. After all, even the newly awakened Red Dragon Emperor can be a destructive force that can easily destroy Kuo if he unlocks Juggernaut Drive and lets his emotions run wild. Issei didn't see the devils behind him tense at the question and answered the question easily. If you must know, after you blew my guts and left me to die, the president came, saved my life, and revived me as her pawn. That was all that Raynare needed to press advantage on the devils and use Issei as her way out. Then why didn't she tell you earlier and save you when she had a chance before I killed you? Asked the fallen. That simple sentence made the devils even tenser and left Issei for the loop. What are you blabbing about, Raynare? Asked the brunette in confusion. Still not knowing what the fallen in front of him is saying. It's simple, Issei, that redhead knows who and what I was doing here in her territory. She could have helped you too and easily stopped me, but she let you die so she can revive you to add you to her collection. Raynare explained that she only needs a little push and she would have Issei on her side and get out. She knew that Issei was emotionally damaged after what happened between them and she planned to take advantage of him now. Issei was even more confused. It didn't make any sense to him, why would Rias, a girl he admires, leave him to die? Sure, he was the biggest pervert in history, but still, that didn't mean to just let him die. Issei just stood there with eyes wide and not knowing what was happening, but when he turned to Rias and the others he was even more surprised that Rias and others looked like they were caught red-handed. The eyes, is she lying? The brunette asked. What I'm telling is truth, Issei. I may have betrayed your trust and killed you, but I never lied to you, unlike some people here. Raynare said to him in the most sincerest voice she could muster. I really loved it and had a lot of fun on our date, but orders are orders. I hope you know that, right? Issei was now betrayed and heartbroken even more. He really didn't want to believe what the foul fallen was saying, but a small part of him was telling him that what she was saying was true and that she was right. Why? He asked in a completely stunned, hesitant voice. It's very simple, Issei, it's the very same reason I had to kill you. Because of the sacred gear you possess. Said Raynare with a grin as she pointed with her hand at the red gauntlet that was on Issei's left arm. Is what she says the truth? There was no response. Akeno, Kiba and Kaneko had their heads bowed down, having no answer and refusing to look into the brunette's eyes. That left Issei empty with his will broken, and now the anger and rage that was inside him started to release a lot of aura around unintentionally. He started to feel even more powerful with each second. He was getting angrier and it started to show to others. He was going to get answers, why he was left to die and why he was again being manipulated. Rias finally got over her shock, wanting to end this quickly before it goes even worse. She felt that the seals that she put on Issei on his revival to keep his full power at bay were starting to break and he was slowly getting to his full power. So she stepped in front of the broken form of Raynare with her demonic energy gathering in her hand. Fallen angel Raynare, you have done enough damage with your words and actions, you played with my adorable little pawn's emotions for the final time. Rias informed the fallen with a cold and dangerous voice. That was enough to break Issei out of his thoughts. As he turned around, he was met with a sight that was telling him that if he doesn't do something, he isn't going to get any answers. I misbegun, Raynare said when she felt that her doom was at hand. As the demonic energy in Ria's hand grows, Raynare tries one last time to make him do anything. Issei. In that moment Issei finally decided to stop this and he stood in front of the fallen with his hands spread out. Surprising everyone present. Ice, what are you doing? Move so I can end this filth. Said a surprised Rias. No one is going to die anymore tonight, Issei said as his head was down with his hair covering his eyes from everyone. Issei, please. Rias told him softly as she moved towards him and tried to put her hand on his shoulder. Don't touch me. Yelled Issei as he was starting to shake in rage as his aura started to groove more powerful. Devils were in complete shock. They were in shock that their second-year friend and comrade had snapped. Even more at the girl that he was idolizing. Issei, please move aside so we can end this and we can talk later, okay? Rias told Issei in the smoothest and tenderest voice that she could muster. Shut up. Roared Issei, lifting his head, showing the devils his now has green narrow eyes like a snake that were full of the fury and rage, with his aura increasing in volume that made all of them step back. Now before anything else happens, I'm going to get some answers, is that understood? He told them in a voice that was full of power and authority, but seeing that no one spoke or confirmed anything made him even angrier and even closer to lashing out at them. I said, is that understood? He roared as he unleashes even more aura, and the church began to shake with his voice and aura. Seeing this, all of them nodded in fear of what may happen if he was refused. To refuse an angry, pissed off dragon is like begging for death in a most gruesome way. Good, now then, what was the real reason you revived me, Rias? Asked Issei in a cold and dangerous tone that promised pain and death if he wasn't given the real reason. I was banking on you, that you have a powerful sacred gear. Answered the Red Hand. And you would have left me for dead if I hadn't had it, he asked. Reassess. Yelled Issei, seeing her trying to think of another way to answer him. No. Issei's eyes hardened and narrowed, even more still green color radiated from his eyes, making them even more dangerous. With that done, Issei turned to Raynare, who was now even more scared for her life. She thought that she was stronger than Pawn, but that was in an instant shot down when she took a look in his eyes at her to try anything and promised her instant death. Rias. Issei told the stunned red-haired heiress as she was still frozen in shock and fear from the power he emitted. Yes, Issei. Asked the heiress. You do have some evil pieces with you, right? He didn't even bother to turn around. Rias stiffened at his question. Yeah, I have, but you are going to reincarnate this little crow over here, is that clear? Issei ordered Rias. Both Rias and Raynare said what Issei said. Rias? Issei threatened. Yes. Rias quickly said in fear. Hey. Don't I have a say in this? Raynare said in anger. That was enough to make Issei take her arm and yank her toward him. Her face is a few centimeters from his. You can choose. Servered I, your choice, Raynare. Because right now I'm so little away from snapping you like a twig. You did kill 2 innocent people. Asya and I don't want someone like Asya to be revived and serve someone who lies and deceives others to become her servants. Told her Issei in a cold voice as he pointed to Rias at the end of his sentence. Rias wanted to argue because her pride was hurt, but green radiant eyes prevented her from doing it. Rias, Raynare here now possess Asya's sacred gear Twilight Healing, and she already has good control of it. Plus she will benefit both sides. Hey, I didn't agree to this. Yelled the fallen angel, trying to get away from the angry Issei. You had your chance to choose. Right now nothing is stopping me from destroying you and ripping you to shreds for what you did to Asya. Choose now, death or servitude. This is your last chance. Told Issei, his green eyes bore holes in the purple ones of Raynare. Raynare was left with one real choice, and that was servitude, so she just nodded to Issei and stopped trying to pull herself off him and surrendered. Seeing this, Issei just nodded and turned to Rias. Do it. It was all done quickly. It didn't take any more than a few minutes for the procedure to be done, and Raynare became half full and half devil. Good, now all of you get out, I will see you when I feel like it. Ordered Issei as he took a few steps towards the fallen form of the nun. Everyone else quickly left, not wanting to get an angry dragon even angrier and feeling his wrath firsthand. Asya, I swear to you now I won't be late ever again. I will change my ways for the better, that I promise you, and I hope that I can see you in heaven if I ever get there. Issei swore to the body of Asya as if she was still there. Goodbye, my true friend, and sorry for not being there for you. Said Issei as he now had tears in his eyes. After a few more seconds he stood up and left. He missed the glowing light that surrounded Asya's body. When he left the rundown church, Issei began to think of how he could become stronger. His first big obstacle came directly from the fact that he was a pervert, and an extremely big one at that. That gave others chances to use him and manipulate him in every way they wanted by just showing him tits, and he would do anything. So his first order of business came at trying to somehow manage to toe down on his lecherous tendency, and he acknowledged that he will need help in doing that. On his way home, Issei came across the same place where this whole madness started, at the newly built park, a place where he brought first girlfriend after a date, where he suppressed his pervert side to a minimum and was killed in cold blood and then revived into literally a slave. To a beautiful red-haired girl that till tonight he idolized so much to the point that he thought she was perfect, only to find out that she was literally worse than him in a way. So I came here again. It's strange how fate has a funny way to laugh at you when you're at your lowest. Mused Issei as he took a look around him, feeling the cold evening wind. Oh well, better get home before my parents get there. Said Issei to himself as he departed for home. After a few minutes, Issei arrived home and seeing that his parents were asleep, he simply went to take a shower and eat something before going to bed. In his dreams Issei found himself in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by an inferno, and from that inferno two emerald eyes were watching him with interest. Issei Hyodo, we meet again, spoke a deep ancient voice filled with power and might. Who are you? What are you doing here in my dream? Stuttered terrified Issei. You have already forgotten about me? I was the one that gave you the power to defeat that little crow you were fighting after all. Told the dragon as he stepped out of Inferno to be directly in front of Issei. Rising to its full height, which was more than 50 meters. The dragon had red scales that looked like it could take a nuclear explosion and still remained without a scratch on them, and emerald eyes that sent a shiver down Issei's spine as he looked at them. Why, you are Drag, the Red Dragon Emperor, the Heavenly Dragon. Issei was still afraid of the massive red dragon whose power was said to rival gods and mass. Indeed I am, and I am your partner from now on. You do not need to be worried, I will not harm you. Drag reassured the boy. The dragon looked down on Issei, seeing his expression as Issei was beginning to shake in fear at the thought of a massive dragon he was talking to. It's nice to meet you, Drag, I'm Issei Hyodo, but you know that already I presume. Told Issei, now feeling a little relaxed as he felt that the dragon in front of him would not hurt or eat him. Yes, I know who you are, and until recently I couldn't make a connection to you, to speak with you, because you were too weak for that, but your emotions and desire for power had made that connection possible. But now the question is, what do you intend to do with my power that is at your disposal? Spoke Drag in his powerful voice as he still looked down at his partner. I want to get stronger so that I can prevent what happened to Asya from happening to other people I love and care for. I will do anything that is necessary to get stronger. I will even suppress as much as possible my lecherous behavior if it is necessary. Issei honestly told the Red Dragon Emperor. Drag was very amused at what his host said. Sure, he was weakling, but he had great potential, and if he was willing to go through the pains and horrors of what he was going to teach him, then maybe some others that he knew, if they were willing, will teach him and train him, but he first needs to confirm it with his partner and see what he is going to do with it when he gets what he wants. That is a very interesting partner. I can see a strong will and desire from you, but if you truly plan on getting stronger, that you must do it quickly, because now that your sacred gear is activated, you will attract both strong enemies and allies to you. Many of them stronger than you. Are you ready for that, Issei Hyodo? Because if you try to run away, they will go for those you love and care to get to you. Issei gulped at that. That was something that he wanted to avoid at all cost. To fight the foes that are much stronger and have much more experience in combat than him was dangerous. And even worse is that the said foes are going to go after the people that he wanted to protect if they can't get to him. Yeah, I am ready as ever. Said Issei to Drag as he looks up at him with a strong desire in his eyes. Very well, I, Drag, the Red Dragon Emperor, will aid you in your quest, but for now this is all the time we can talk here, but rest assured we can now talk even when you are not dreaming. But you'll need to become stronger enough for that, told Drag as Inferno suddenly disappeared just as it appeared, waking Issei from his slumber just before his alarm came. Wow, that was a strange dream I had. Mumbled Issei as he looked around his room. That was not a dream, partner, it was real. Said a deep and powerful voice. What? So I wasn't just dreaming. Issei muttered. Correct, partner, what we talked about was all real, and it will happen if you don't become stronger. Oh, okay then, what do you suggest, Drag? What should I do to get more powerful? Asked Issei, feeling a little dread creeping up his back. You should start with your physical strength, since from what I can see your magic is down to the bottom to almost non-existing. That will help you maintain more than a few boosts in a fight and will also increase your stamina. Advised Drag as he analyzed Issei's body and magical reserves. That is a good idea. I'm more of a close combat fighter than a magic user, never liked magic anyway. But that the conversation's done, Drag returned to his slumber, telling Issei too if he needs his help to just summon the booster gear and he will wake up. After getting up and putting on his school clothes, he started packing his training clothes into his bag as he planned for the next 3 to 4 weeks to train himself to become stronger. With his mindset, he went down to the kitchen to eat breakfast with his parents before going out to train. Of course, he didn't tell his parents that because he was sure that all hell would break loose if his parents found out what he became and that just by knowing him that they were in danger. With his preparations completed, Issei set out to go train, and if the dragon was in a good mood, maybe he could learn some other things from the heavenly dragon that would be helpful in the future. After about half an hour, Issei made it to his destination. An open field outside Kuo, far enough for him to train and not be bothered by anyone. He stood in the opening with his bag on his shoulder looking at the field in front of him, and with a satisfied nod he began with his training. For the first hour or so Issei just did simple exercises, running, jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups. After doing the basics and feeling a little tired, Drake instructed Issei that he should try doing the same exercises as before, but with one boost. Partner, you should try using one boost, and it will give you enough power to do those exercises easily, but it will leave you exhausted after the effect wears out. It will also be good for your expending stamina and for your body to get used to added strength. So the side effect of the booster gear won't affect you later on. Explained Drake as Issei took to heart what the legendary dragon said. Of course, Drake warned him that the more he uses the booster gear and the more he boosts, the drain on his stamina will be greater, so it would be smart to start small and after a few days to increase the number of boosts. So for the rest of the day, Issei did the exercises while adding some new ones to make it even more difficult for him as much as possible to grow more. This pattern was repeated during whole month, and during breaks in between exercises, Drake educated Issei on what he knew and what was important for him at the time to know about the supernatural world, about 3 factions, dragons, yokai, vampires, nekomata, etc. During his education, he found out that when the wielder of the sacred gear dies, a small part of his soul was transferred there and kept. Drake also mentioned his eternal battle against his rival the White One, or also known as Vanishing Dragon, the English Dragon Emperor Forbidden Move Balance Breaker, that Issei was still far away to unlock it. During his training, Drake started to teach Issei magic, and as expected, Issei found that it was even harder and difficult for him, that physical part of the training, since Drake's most powerful move was Fire Breath that was so powerful that it would burn even gods. And wouldn't die down until only ashes are left. That was what the mighty dragon taught Issei. And so his monthly training slowly finished. Issei knew he improved in stamina and strength, but he also knew that it was far cry from being at some decent power level that he can begin to try and do things that will lead him to his peace and safety of his loved ones. While his physical training showed some improvements, his magical training was still an area that he was extremely lacking. With all the training and education on his new life and what he can expect in future courtesy of Red Dragon of Domination, Issei was finally confident to return to his normal way of life. It happened to be Monday that he returned to school and his friends. As he walked through the school gate, he was met with a sight that made him want to laugh. All students' eyes landed on him the moment he stepped through the gate. Some people were wondering who the new guy was, some girls were also thinking that he looked cute and handsome. It looked that they all forgot him during his month of training, although to their defense, he did look a little different from before. Before he looked a little skinnier and had an average built body, but after his whole month worth of training, he gained a little more muscle and became more athletic, let his hair grow slightly to his shoulder, and his face became a little sharper than before. While walking to his classroom, he could hear, thanks to his devil senses, what other people were talking about, and that made him almost burst up laughing. "Wow, look at the new kid, he's cute, isn't he?" spoke some girl to her friends, and will look at him with stars in her eyes. "I wonder if he is single," told another as he walked past them, trying his best not to start laughing. As he entered his classroom, he was met with silence as everyone was looking at him with confusion as to why there was a new student at the entrance of their classroom. "Sorry for being late, teacher, I overslept," spoke Issei as he bowed to the teacher that still looked at him with a confused expression. "I didn't receive anything about a new student coming to this class." "Who are you?" said the teacher, still not recognizing Issei. "It's me, my teacher, Hyodo Issei," told Issei to the now shocked whole classroom. "What? That guy is the pervert beast," Hyodo yelled in shock at the females in class. They still couldn't believe that they didn't recognize him the moment he entered through the gate, and when some of them remembered that they called him cute and asked if he was solo, it made them go green in the face. "Issei, man, we are glad that you are finally back. The school wasn't the same without you, bro," yelled 2 male students. One had athletic built body and was both bold and bald. His name was Mitsuda. He was one of the biggest perverts in school, a self-proclaimed lolicon, and his nickname was Sexual Harassment Paparazzi. While the other was skinny, had black hair, and was wearing glasses. His name was Motohama. He had an ability that can get accurate females' measurements at sight. His nickname was 3-sized Scouter. They and Issei were known as Perverted Trio for their tendency to peek at girls while changing. Their special target was the Kendo Club that had some of the most beautiful girls in it. The said Kendo Club was also their main enemy, since every time they peek at them, it was almost for sure that they would end up getting the beat down. With the classroom in an uproar, the teacher began to calm down the students. After regaining some control over the situation, he asked the million-dollar question. "Where have you been, Hyodo? It has been over a month since you disappeared," stated the teacher. "I had some unexpected family problems that made it impossible for me to come to school," answered the brunette. "I hope that the problem is solved now and that you will have your full attention on the lectures that are coming up. Also, come to the teacher hall during lunch break to get all your missed assignments." "Yes, the problem was solved, and thank you, teacher. Can I go to my seat now?" "You may." With a bow, Issei made his way to his seat, all eyes were on him as he started to pull out his school supplies. One pair of purple eyes were narrowed and specifically glued to him as they watched him. The class after Issei came returned relatively to normal as it could be. Some students were still surprised, some upset that the pervert beast returned, and some shell-shocked that they thought that he was a new student. After the class was over, all of his classmates surrounded him and started bombarding him with questions about what happened to him and where he was. "Where have you been, Issei? We were worried sick about you. You didn't tell anyone what happened to you, and even Orc didn't know where you were," yelled Motohama and Mitsuda at the same time. "Like I told the teacher, I had some family emergency that left me in no condition to come to school," said Issei. "Okay, then with that done, what do you say about getting to see some nice pieces of the body? We found some new places that will give us all that we could dream of," Motohama told Issei while pushing his glasses up. That made all females in the room send death glares at them. They were shocked at Issei's answer as they never in a million years thought they would hear it. "Nah, I'm not in the mood today guys, maybe next time," said Issei as he put his head on the table. Well, that was technically a lie, it was also a good opportunity to toe down his less popular tendency. What? Issei, what are you saying? Are you feeling well?" stuttered Mitsuda. "Yeah, I'm alright, I'm just not in the mood today to go with you guys." That made some girls that were listening to the conversation pull the two perverts away from Issei so that they could confront him. Well, that was the unexpected answer coming from the breast beast. "What, we aren't good enough for you now, Nihiyoto?" mocked a pink-haired girl as she stood in front of Issei. "I thought that with me gone for a whole month and not peeking at you and not doing it today would at least make you happy a little bit more, Caddis," muttered Issei, his voice tired of the constant sarcastic remarks of the pink-headed girl. "We are very happy about that, Issei, but it's really strange hearing it from you of all people, you know that right?" spoke brunette girl that was a few centimeters taller than Caddis. "Well, as much as it is strange hearing it from me, Murayama, even I have those days, that isn't to say that both of you are not good enough, heck both of you are very beautiful, if I may say so myself," told Issei as he moved his head so it was resting on his cheek and looking directly at Murayama. Both girls blushed, their cheeks turning a little red at the comment he made about them. That left both Murayama and Caddis dumbfounded. They were very happy at what Issei said. Happy that he wasn't going to peep on them at least for today, and maybe there was a slim chance that the pervert trio will be cut down to pervert duo. That would be a miracle that both Murayama and Caddis would gladly pray for. Issei suddenly got a headache. With all that said and done, the rest of the day went as one can expect. Issei was under a constant barrage of questions about his disappearance and return. He didn't even acknowledge his king and rest of Orc as he made sure to be as distant as possible. Well, look at who came back after a whole month," spoke a familiar voice filled with sarcasm from behind him. "Oh, Raynare didn't know that you were in my class," said surprised Issei as he turned around to the familiar voice only to look at Raynare and was not surprised to see her in her Yuma form that she used to get him on that fateful day. "My name in school is Yuma, remember that?" hissed Raynare as she stepped closer to him. Yeah, so what do you want?" Yuma asked Issei in his uninteresting voice. "Where have you been, you jerk? And Rias wants to see you after school," nearly yelled furious Raynare at the boy who ruined her life. "Where I was isn't important and you can tell Rias that I don't care what she wants. I will come to the clubroom when I feel like it," Issei told her in a serious voice while raising a little bit of his aura for her to get a point that Issei was serious. Raynare cringed a bit when she felt his aura come near her. She still remembered well that night at church when he was close to snapping and when he almost killed her. Fine, be it your way," said the half-breed as she made her way towards Orc to tell her king what the pawn said. "Well, that went better than I expected," said to himself Issei as he went home. As he went home, Issei didn't realize that he was followed by someone who was going to change his life upside down even more. Returning home, Issei found out that focusing on other things besides porn made wonders when he saw how much time for something else he had. Of course, that didn't mean that he has given up on it, he would watch it from time to time, after all, he was still a 17-year-old teenager craving for a female body, but given how his life was turned upside down, he tried to focus as much as he could on other things. One of those things was family. Ever since his childhood friend Issei was left empty, he was always alone, that was until he came across an old man who told him stories about the power of tits. Issei came every day to listen to him, and that's how his perverted side came about. That side was beginning to show itself in middle school, where he actually met his two friends that made up the pervert trio. Even during his first year in middle school, every girl he met would almost immediately turn around and walk away or slap him seeing that he was undressing her with his eyes. He wanted to have a harem, but when the girls wouldn't even give him the time of a day to even say hello, let alone be with him, he did the next best thing, and that was peeping on them. Of course, that ends up usually at him and his pervert friends getting the shit beaten out of them, but that didn't stop him or his friends from doing the same thing over and over again. That was how his days would end up from the beginning of the first year at middle school all the way to a few days ago. Finally, after the whole supernatural thing was revealed to him and what he could expect from that side, he understood the importance of living and that there are some other things besides porn. So after dinner, Issei went to his room to do his homework and told Heavenly Dragon that he was his partner now to see if there are some other ways to gather strength and power so that he could at least protect his family. So Drake, is there other ways to increase in strength than just plain exercise? Wondered Issei as he was keen on doing some other things than basic training. Yes partner, but you have to remember that since you extremely lack in magic you have to make it up in strength. Answered the great dragon. And that sounds like I don't have many options then. No, you don't partner, but I think in a few months that you can awaken some of the other users of booster gear, if they are willing, will help you in your endeavors. Ensured Drake as he felt Issei's sadness at not doing much to improve in other areas. Really Drake, is what you say really the truth? That I can awaken my predecessors if I get stronger? Asked Issei, now filled with hope that maybe some of past users will help him in his quest for power to protect. I don't have a slight benefit of a doubt that they will help you. Thank you Drake, you are a real friend. Answer honestly Issei. You are welcome partner, but I suggest that you finish your work and go to bed. I will train you from now on personally in your dreams. This should help you with some techniques that I have that are because you are my host and should come easily to you, and it will also increase your chances to achieve a balance breaker. Instructed Drake, since he had a strange feeling that things are sure to hit the fan very soon and his host needed every bit of advice, training, and experience he could get. But that said and done, Drake cut the feed and Issei was left to his own devices. He first thought about how to at least subdue his tendencies. 2-3 people came to his mind, but he was sure that they would likely beat the tar out of him even before he asked for their help, but that was something that he needed to do before he could write them down. I think I should just ask Murayama and Kata straight and see if they are even willing to help, plus it could be good if they could also train me in swordplay, it wouldn't hurt to know how to use a weapon. Issei pondered on that for the moment before deciding that he would ask and hope for the best before going to bed and going to sleep, where his dragon friend was waiting for him to begin the most terrified and painful training he will experience. Fucking drag, fucking dragon breath, fucking sadistic lizard bastard. That was what Issei repeated constantly over and over in his head as he went to school. At the beginning of his training, as Drake called it, Issei quickly realized that the heavenly dragon was insane and that what he called training was much closer to pure torture than the former. Issei was forced to dodge Drake's flames, sent flying, bruised, burned, and for the lack of the better term, left just a centimeter away from death's door. Drake's constant reminder that this was just the beginning, and for that reason Issei could feel the shivers go down his spine, wishing that he didn't want to know what was in Drake's opinion heavy training. As he made his way to school, Issei saw 2 people he was going to ask for help, and as luck would have it, the said people were also arriving at school. Thinking that after training with his sadistic dragon training instructor, nothing could get any worse, he made his decision to approach them. Murayama, Kadis, do you have a moment? I would like to ask you something. Called Issei as the duo stopped at the sound of his voice and turned to face him. What do you want, Hyodo? Asked angrily. I was wondering if by any chance you guys are willing to help me with something. Answer Issei, feeling very afraid of Kadis as she narrowed her eyes on him. And what would that be, pervert? Well, how could I say this, but Issei started feeling terrified of her and a bit embarrassed that he would ask her for help. Spill it, what do you want? You want to be seen naked, is that what you want? Spouted Kadis, feeling a lot angrier that one person that was always peeping on them, except yesterday, was here in front of her asking for something, and she has no doubt something perverted at that. Kadis, cool down a little bit, you are scaring him senseless. Said Murayama, seeing that Issei was getting paler at the sight of an angry Kadis in front of him. Fine Mura, but if it's something perverted he is getting shinai so deep in his ass that the doctors would need to struggle to get it out. Answered Kadis as she was trying to calm down a little bit. Now Issei, what did you need to ask us? Asked Murayama to see Kadis calm down. Well, I wanted to ask you guys if you would be willing to help me with toning down my perverted side. Stuttered Issei as he was still embarrassed for asking them of all people for help. That answer left Murayama and Kadis shocked. They first looked at each other, then at the sky to see if it wasn't falling down because they were sure that it was, and lastly to Issei to see if he was alright. Why you want our help in stopping your perverted tendencies, is that right? Stuttered stunned pink-haired girl as she was still shell-shocked at the question. Why yeah, that's what I'm asking, would you two be willing to help me with this? I will do anything and everything you say. Embarrassed, Issei answered honestly. Hyodo, would you wait for the end of the school to hear our decision? asked an equally shocked brunette. Yeah, I can wait. Meet me at the gate after school, sounds good. Issei felt a little more hope in his decision on asking those two. Sure, that would work. Well, see you in the classroom, Hyodo. Answered Murayama as she was the first to get out of the shock that Issei gave them. Cadis was so in shock that after getting the answer from Murayama was forced to drag her to the kendo club. Well, that went pretty good, if I may say so myself. Thought Issei, glad that the girls were even considering to help, and he was sure that if they decided to help, he would have 2 more sergeant instructors that will make him feel like hell was heaven if he screws up. Yes, partner, that was a good decision on your part to ask for help in your less honorable trait. Spoke Drake in Issei's mind as he listened to the conversation and found it amusing to see his host behaving like this. Yeah, I know right. Well, better get to the classroom before class starts. Responded Issei in his mind while making his way to the classroom. When he was about to enter the classroom, unwanted voices got his attention. Ice. A very familiar voice to him shouted. Where have you been? I was worried sick about you. Questioned the owner of the other voice. As Issei turned around, he was met with his king and bishop, who were from the look of things going to his classroom to get him. Seeing them, Issei gave a tired sigh, knowing what the duo wanted. What do you two want? Questioned the pawn as he looked into the eyes of his king with a bored expression. Where have you been for the last 4 weeks? Repeated Rias as she wanted to know what the Sekiryuite were doing in that period of time. Training. He simply answered. And why didn't you tell me or come to the club? Continued Eris. Because I didn't feel like coming to a liar of liars and killers. Again Issei simply answered as he entered his classroom, leaving a hurt Rias and an annoyed Raynare. Raynare, when school finishes, follows him and sees what he is up to and reports it to me immediately. Ordered Rias to her bishop. And why do you think I will do those princesses? Said Raynare in an annoyed tone. Do you want Akeno to punish you again for disobedience? Smirked Rias as she saw the fallen devil hybrid's face. Raynare was white as a sheet as she remembered how Akeno tortured her for 2 hours for not following Ria's orders, and that was something that she didn't want to happen. She just nodded and left in a hurry. As school continued like normal, Issei found that his 2 perverted friends were even more annoying, and he realized that what they are doing was to get him in trouble so they can escape the brutal treatment of the kendo club. He tried to keep the distance from them since he was focusing on trying to suppress his perverted nature so that he can at least not get used. As the class ended, Issei was confronted with his 2 pervert buddies. Issei, let's go, shouted Enjoy Mitsuda. Yeah, Issei, let's go. We found a beautiful spot where we can peep on the girls and explore the female body to its fullest. Added Motohama while Mitsuda nods his head in agreement with glasses wearing pervert, ignoring the death glares sent from girls that heard them. Seeing the conversation going on, the girls that didn't leave the classroom yet and waited to hear Issei's answer, since coming from his month-long absence, he changed in a good way, for the girls didn't even bother to say hi to him. Though now they are even willing to have a sentence or two with him, and his new look did help a fair bit in the girls' opinion. 3 girls, in particular, were expecting him to accept their offer, but his answer still proved them wrong. As I said before, no, I will not go with you guys to peep on the girls, since for once I can talk to some girls without a problem, and it's nice for a change. Stated Issei as he looked into the eyes of his slowly but surely ex-friends. Inside he wanted to go with them badly, but he knew that he needed to groove up from his perverted state and mature. Still, that didn't mean that he couldn't get a side glance under the skirt or shirt of a beautiful girl. But he felt good that some girls, after seeing that he wasn't with the duo when they were caught and brutally beaten to shit a few times, started to open just a little bit to him and be more friendly. What are you talking about, Issei? Asked Motohama in disbelief as he pushed his glasses up. Yeah, Issei, what happened to you? Also questioned Mitsuda, also not believing his friend has just refused this beautiful offer to see girls in their birthday suit. It's just as I said, I'm not going with you guys. He said now in a serious and commanding tone that made them shiver in fear, and some girls, and a certain fallen angel, shiver in excitement of his commanding tone as he relists a little bit of his dragon aura to complete the effect of intimidation. Fine, you win, Issei, this time, but we will bring you back to your senses eventually. Motohama stated angrily as he and Mitsuda left to go and peep at the girls. But this done, Issei took his belongings and left the classroom, leaving the kendo duo alone to discuss what just happened. Well, that was definitely awkward. Said Kat, still not believing that Issei was beginning to change. Yeah, it is awkward, but look at it on the light side, it's a good opportunity to reduce pervert trio by 1, and if Issei doesn't behave you can still beat the crap out of him. Stated Murayama. Yeah, I guess you're right, Mura, but still, I think it's just some plan of his to get a better look at us under clothes. Answered back Caddis as she was unsure about this whole ordeal. Well, if we don't try we wouldn't know if he is fooling around or really trying to reduce it. Who knows, maybe you will fall in love with him, Kate. said Murayama with a smirk at seeing her pink-hair friend have a look of disbelief in her eyes, but her cheeks turn a little pink at that statement. Murayama knew that Cadis had a small crush on Issei, and if he was normal and not a breast beast, she would have asked him out on a date, but since he was what he was, she outright refused to do anything. Don't make it sound like you are any better, Mura. I know that you had a crush on him since day one. Retailed Cadis. Yup, and I still do have one. That's why I will help him, and with some luck maybe get along with him, but first things first, we need to get him to control his perverted urges. I like him way more when he isn't in his pervert mode. Murayama said it was like talking about the weather and not about her secret crush. Well, if you are so sure about this, then I will also give it a try, but one wrong move and he will get a shinai in his ass so deep that even the doctors would have to cut him up to get it out. Cadis reluctantly agreed to Murayama's train of thoughts, but also promised her that if Issei gave her a perverted look then all hell would break loose on him. But now all that is left to do is inform him and to see when and where do we start his training, said Murayama with a smile on her face. Soon, Issei, soon I can be with you. I can wait for that day. Thought Murayama as she and Cadis left the classroom to go and eat lunch. Elsewhere, Issei was confronted by Kiba as he was sent to get Issei to go to the orc clubroom. What do you want, Kiba? Asked Issei as he was about to start eating his lunch. President sent me to retrieve you so that she can talk to you, Issei. Answered Kiba as he looked into Issei's eyes and was ready to summon his sword if need be. Issei just shook his head at seeing that he wasn't going to win this argument. Even if he refuses Kiba, Rias was going to send Kaneko or Akeno to get him next. And he knew that if Akeno was refused then let's just say it would be one-sided fight where he was going to get electrocuted until he was a centimeter from death's door, knowing her sadistic side. And that was something that he would like to avoid at all cost until he gets stronger where he can at least retaliate back. I'm Kiba, I will go with you, but this better be good or I will break both your legs and have Raynare heal them and then break them again, you got that? Issei warned as he put his lunch back in his backpack and moved towards the old school building. It will be Issei. Kiba quickly answered, not wanting to test Issei's claim on himself. Well, let's go then. Issei simply said as Kiba quickly caught up to him. As they entered the building he felt that everyone from Rias' peerage was there, but from the looks of things they seemed in disarray for some reason. President, we are here. Stated Kiba as he entered with Issei right behind him. Clubroom still looked as Issei remembered. It still had a Victorian style to it with a couple of leather sofas and a small wooden table in the middle and had a back door that leads into a hallway that had doors that were for the kitchen, spare room, and bathroom. All in all, the clubroom looked more like an apartment than an old school building. Ah, Yudo, Ice, it's good that you came here. I have news for you both that we just took a seat. Akeno, would you please bring us some tea? Told Rias as she sat at her table and waited for Akeno to bring tea to the rest of them. Here you go, President. Said Akeno as she brought tea to Rias and the rest of the club. Okay, Rias, what do you want and what is so important? Questioned Issei as he still wasn't over what happened in the church and he wanted to spend as little time as possible with them. I thought I told you to call me President, Ice. Stated Rias as she folded her arms under her breast as she looked Ice with narrowed eyes. And I thought I told you that I still don't want to see you, but knowing that you are annoying as hell, I came here, so tell me what is so important. He responded back as he released some of his aura for intimidation, a nifty trick that he learned from Drake, and from the look on everyone's face it worked. Although Akeno had a blush on her face as she licked her lips in a seductive way, her M sighed in full force, showing that she very much liked the idea of her cute junior dominating her in bed. Well, what I wanted to say is that since you have time to adapt to life as a devil, and after your month worth of leave, that you will have to return to your devil duties, and that soon we will have to go to the familiar forest to get you a familiar, since all of us here have it. But that is for the next month, and I would like to know how good was your training went. Answered Rias after collecting enough of herself. Ice just sighed as he should have seen this coming, but he still needed to at least follow orders from her, even though he didn't want to. Sure, I will continue my devil jobs, and as for how training went, it went good, but there are still a lot of things that I need to improve if I ever want to advance through the ranks to become high class. Replied Issei while closing his eyes and putting his hand on his chin in a thinking manner. It's good to hear, Ice, if you become strong enough and do your job well you can increase in rank for sure. Said Akeno as she was standing behind Rias. Yeah, I know. Well, if that's all there is to know, I will take my leave, there is still school, and I'm hungry, so goodbye for now. Said Issei as he stood up and left. When Issei left and was out of hearing, Raynare, who was until now silent, said something that made them all interested in their pawn even more. Well, it looks like Issei is looking for a way to decrease his perverted nature. Said Raynare. And how do you know the trainer? Questioned Rias. Well, you did say to follow him, and since I'm with him in class those have some benefits. Anyway, I heard those two kendo captains said that he asks for their help in it, and from the looks of things, both of them will help him, plus both of them have a crush on him. Answered Raynare as she stood up and excused herself and left to also go get lunch and see what the man that put her in this position would do next. It seems that things will become even more interesting from now on, don't you think, Rias? Said Akeno as she was sipping more tea that came from Kaneko, who was too much focused on her snacks to even bother about other things. Yes, it would seem that way, Akeno. Rias said in thought. On the other end of the town, Issei entered a house that looked fairly modest. It was a two-story house that had 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a living room that had a futuristic look to it. As the figure entered the living room, it removed its hood to reveal a beautiful girl that had pale skin, auburn hair, and red eyes, butterfly headphone accessory on her head with a lollipop in her mouth. She looked like she was the same age as Issei. Well, Issei Hyodo, it looks like we will have a meeting in the very near future. I'm really looking forward to it. The auburn teen said with a soft smile on her face. After the lunch break that was fairly annoying for Issei because he had to deal with people that hurt and betrayed him in the worst possible ways. Issei is now eagerly, with a bit of fear mixed in, waiting for school to end to see if the kendo duo were willing to help him with his problem. As the school bell rang at the end of today's lessons, he quickly packed his belongings and went to the gates to see what their decision was. Not too long after he got there, the people he waited for showed up with a neutral expression on their faces that upset him a little bit. "So guys, what did you decide?" He stuttered as he was now a bit afraid of their refusal. "We decided ice, but before we tell you our answer, we need to know some other things. Sounds good?" Answered Murayama as she looked at him with her neutral expression. "Yeah, that sounds good, so what do you need to know?" He replied, feeling a bit of hope since it sounded like they accepted his request, but he tried not to show it. "Well, the things we want to know are a bit complicated to speak in public, so do you know any place where we can talk?" This time Kata spoke. "Sure, we can talk at my place. My parents aren't home, so it's secure to talk about things that are private, and before you, Caddis, go for the shin. I know, I didn't think of those things." He quickly answered, seeing that Caddis was about to grab her sword to hit him. "It better be like you said, or I will put this sword in your ass, you got that?" Caddis said with venom in her voice. "It's like I said, you can trust me on that. I may be a pervert, but I'm not a liar or a sexual maniac that will rape you too." Issei replied back. "Fine, lead the way," she said, accepting his words. "This way, ladies." As they left, Raynare followed them with interest, since she too wanted to know what made Issei ask his arch-enemies for help and what the duo wanted to know. So she masked her presence and went after them. What she and the trio didn't know is that the auburn-haired girl that was following Issei for a few days now was also following them now, and she looked excited about the prospect of having some fun with all of them. So she hurried to get as fast as can to his house and set all hell loose on him. After about 15 minutes, the trio arrived at the Sekiruyute's house that looked like the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. It was a normal 2-story terraced house with a light blue exterior, a balcony on the 2nd floor, and a brown roof. "Well, here we are, make yourself comfortable here, I will get some drinks and snacks," said Issei as he led the duo into his house, not noticing another presence in his house. Seeing that her camouflage and masked presence was working beautifully, the auburn teen decided to have some fun. That was why she came here after all. "Oh, honey, you're home," she said in a sweet and seductive tone as she stepped out of the kitchen. Hearing the voice, Sekiruyute immediately activated his sacred gear in front of the two girls as he stepped in front of them. "Who are you, and what are you doing in my house?" asked Issei as he started boosting his power. "Oh, my. Have you already forgotten about me? Shame on you, my dear, and here I thought that you loved me," she stated in a fake hurt tone as she put her hand over her heart. While this was going on, Murayama and Caddis were in shock. First, Issei said that he was alone at home, and now from the looks of things it looked like he lied. The second was a strange-looking gauntlet that appeared out of nowhere. And what was even more strange is that it started saying boost after every so often, and the third was the auburn teen that looked like she knew ice very well. After getting over their shock, they looked at each other and with a nod, decided that they were going to milk every last bit of information out of Issei for this, but for now their attention returned to the girl that was standing in front of them. And both girls could agree that she was very beautiful, with her long auburn hair that went down to her middle back, butterfly headphones accessory on her head. She wore a black vest along with a white long shirt that was underneath it with a red ribbon, a red miniskirt, and had black leather boots. "Cut the crap and tell me who you are and what are you doing here?" stated Issei, feeling angrier at the unknown girl that was in his house. "Boost. Oh, will you look at that? So the information about you was correct. You are the Red Dragon Emperor," she said nonchalantly, as if she was used to seeing it all the time. Yes, I'm the current Issei, now answer the damn question. He answered, his voice becoming dangerous as he felt a little bit annoyed that she still didn't answer him. My name is Chelsea, it is a pleasure to meet you Issei. As for what I'm doing here? Well, that's easy. I'm here to have some fun, and don't worry, I'm not here to fight, so can you please dismiss your sacred gear? Even though I may be stronger than you now, if you boost enough times you can easily beat me, and from counting how many times you boost already, I will have to say that we are almost even now. The girl now known as Chelsea stated. She knew that her experience could give her an advantage over him, but knowing that one lucky shot from the powered-up Issei would spell instant death to weak opponents and heavy injuries to some average. She didn't want to test her chances with him yet if she can prevent that. And how can I trust you that the moment I dismiss my sacred gear you won't attack me or my friends behind me? Questioned Issei. He was told by Drake that situations like this would happen when an opponent would try to make him lower his guard and when he was at his weakest, attack him. I see that you thought about that possibility also, but rest assured that I'm not here to fight, I'm more of an assassination than a straightforward fighter. If I was ordered to kill you, you would have been dead long ago, as I had plenty of opportunities to do it. Chelsea stated calmly as she took out a lollipop out of her skirt pocket and put it in her mouth. So what are you doing here then, besides having intruded into my house? Issei asked as he saw that what she said was the truth. Why don't we all sit down and talk about him? Said Chelsea as she made her way onto one of the sofas in the living room. Issei, you do know that you have a lot of explaining to do, right? Said Murayama as she and Cadis finally able to get a word out since they felt the dangerous situation in front of them vanish and what the Chelsea girl said made them shiver in fear. That made Issei go pale as he forgot that the duo behind him didn't know anything about the supernatural world and he knew that once you entered it there was no going back. He sighs heavily as he decided that if they were going to help, he would at least tell them what they wanted to know. Yeah, I know, but let us first sit and then we will talk about it. He answered back as he went to the kitchen to get some drinks and snacks. After a minute or so he came back with a tray of food and drinks. He put them down on a table and proposed to sit down on a love sofa so that he could see all three girls. Murayama and Cadis took the large sofa as they sat near each other. Okay, before you two begin to question me, let's see what our new friend is doing in my house, sounds fair? He asked a kendo duo and seeing them nod made him smile a little bit. Before he turned his attention to an intruder which he could honestly say was extremely hot and if the situation was different he would be all over her in a blink of an eye. Since you insist, darling. She smirked when she saw a little jealousy in the brunette-haired girl's eyes, but she had to first defuse the tension that was in the room before she could tease the life of the girl and the boy which she found to be very cute and handsome. Like I said, my name is Chelsea and I was assigned to watch over you and see if you have sacred gear and if you have, to see what in turns your power level is. If you were at a lower level of power, I was told to bring you with me to our faction with force if necessary, but seeing that you already have activated it and that you have I would say decent power, I think that wouldn't work, so I choose another way. To come directly to you so that we can talk and see if you are willing to come with me, darling. We had so much fun together. She said in a normal voice in the beginning and ended in a flirty and seductive tone while licking her lips which made Issei go full red that put even his gear at shame. Murayama, seeing this, decided to make himself known to the other girl. As she didn't like the idea of Issei leaving when she was so close to having him. What are you talking about? What faction? And what is a sacred gear? She questioned as she wanted answers and saw Cadis nod her head in agreement with her. Well, I can answer the first two questions somewhat, but I will let my darling answer the last one. Was the reply she got from the Auburn teen. Don't call him darling. Sneered Murayama as she felt that she had little chances against the girl in front of her. She was very attractive and from the look in Issei's eyes, Murayama knew that she was losing the battle over him. Oh, jealous about my interaction with my dear little Issei. She questioned with a smirk at seeing the brunette becoming red with each passing second from embarrassment and anger. That's not what I meant. Murayama stuttered as she felt her cheeks blush even more than they were a moment ago. Are you sure about that? Chelsea sends another jab at her. She loved this, her mischief side was now in full force and he would enjoy the sweet torture for as long as she can. Unfortunately for her, Issei decided to enter the conversation and release Murayama from even more embarrassment. He knew that she had a small interest in him since every time he was caught Murayama would hold back a lot as to not hurt him too badly and would avoid sensitive parts and if he was honest with himself, he did have a crush on her since day one at Kuo Academy. Okay Chelsea, I think you had your fun. Now answer the questions. He stated seriously as he was also curious about this faction she spoke about. Chelsea cutely pouted at her fun being cut short but decided that she would continue later on. What I'm talking about is that there are other factions in this world, not just humans, but you already know that, my dear. Chelsea said as she looked towards Issei and then to the duo on a sofa. As for you two, Murayama and Caddis, yes, there are other factions, like devils, angels, fallen angels, vampires, yokai, and so much more, and before you ask how I know your names, the answer is simple. I was also following you two also since you knew Issei and interacted with him on a daily basis. Answered Chelsea while drinking some juice and eating some snacks that Issei bought for them. That left the girls on the edge. To hear that you were followed by an assassin no less was a hard pill to swallow for anyone, and the discovery that the mythical beings exist was even more of a shock to the girls. Wait, so what are you saying is that mythical beings like devils and angels really exist? For the first time since this conversation started, Caddis spoke in disbelief. Yes, they exist, my darling, here is proof of that, aren't you my sweet cute little devil dragon? Replied Chelsea with a smirk while making Issei blush and Murayama even angrier at the flirting that the auburn-haired girl was doing with her love interest. But what she first said died her anger down. That little revelation left the kendo girls looking at Issei like he had grown a second head. Issei, is she saying the truth? You aren't human. Murayama spoke in a saddened tone. Sorry, but no, I'm not a human anymore. Well, not 100%, but since I was born I wasn't completely human. He answered as he looked over from Chelsea to the duo at the opposite side. Then what are you? Asked Caddis with a little edge in her tone that made Issei flinch a bit. Well, I'm, from what I gathered, a 50% devil, 35% human and 15% dragon, but as you can see I look like a normal human being. He answered in a soft tone. Okay, then that leads us to the next question, what faction are you from? This time it was Issei who asked as he looked at Chelsea with a serious look. Chelsea for her part blushed a little at the gaze that made him look even cuter and more handsome in her opinion, and if what she knew about Issei was correct, she wouldn't mind being with him even in a harem, since she knew that that was his dream. To become a harem king. She also caught him a few times looking her over. He gave her body a complete scan which she found amusing and flattered that she was attractive to him. As much as I want to answer your question, my dear, I can't, at least not until you decide to join us, and then I can answer any question you ask or you desire. She seductively answered with a wink, but that is it for today, I must be going home now, it's getting late, and I need my beauty sleep to look good for you, and don't worry, we will see each other soon, you three. Bye. But that Chelsea stood up, but before she left, she quickly gave Issei a kiss on the cheek that made him turn crimson red with embarrassment and the girls red with anger. All of that made Chelsea giggle at the amusing sight as she left two fuming girls and one stunned boy in its wake. Ahem, now that that's over. Issei, before we give you our answer to your request we need to know some things. Said Caddis as she was the first to return to normal, while Murayama looked like she was ready to murder someone. Issei for his part was still in shock over the kiss, but one look from Murayama that could be prone to instant castration and chopping of the head was enough to bring him back. What that Chelsea girl did to make her so pissed off was beyond him. Murayama was now in her own world, planning how to deal with this auburn teen that was stealing her Issei from her. Oh, you just wait, bitch, I'm going to enjoy chopping your head and putting it on a pike when I'm done with you. No one is going to steal him from me, not now when I have a chance to bring him back to normal and be with him. Thought menacingly Murayama as her eyes darkened at all the murderous ideas she could do run through her head. Issei and Caddis gulped, paled, and backed away as they saw her lips turn into a sadistic smile that in Issei's opinion would put even a Keno's best to shame. Well, Issei, I think it would be wise to answer some questions before Mura goes on to do whatever that smile on her face represents. Don't you agree? Caddis asks, hoping that she could break the dark thoughts in her best friend's mind. Not wanting to get a beat down from her friend when Caddis hit Issei and his family jewels. Issei just nodded his head in acknowledgement, not daring to speak. Okay, you said that you are a devil now, who are also devils that you know? Caddis asked. That question made Murayama break from her thoughts of murdering the auburn girl to look at him and waiting to hear his answer. Well, as far as I know, all members of Orc are devils and Rias Gremory is our king. Answers Issei quickly and honestly, not wanting to fill the duo's wrath. Wait, all the members are devils, even Yuma and Kiba? Murayama questioned. Yes, Kiba was the devil long before me, and as for Yuma, or should I say Raynare, she only turned devil when I intervened with her death. She was a fallen angel before. He said, as he was still haunted by what he experienced with Raynare and his discovery in the church. Raynare? Rias, and how did you become a devil? Ice? Caddis was next to ask, and to Issei, it looked like they were synchronized with each other. Yes, Yuma Amano or Raynare was a fallen angel until a month ago. As to how I became a devil, well, let's just say that a spear of light, courtesy of Raynare and Rias intervening when she did, was all that it took. He answered in a tone that gave both girls a signal that he wasn't ready to tell them and that he wanted to forget that day. So Rias saved you in the end, is that what are you saying, Ice? In a way, look guys, I'm still not ready to tell you what happened, so can we just skip it and get to the next question? He said as he looked Caddis in the eyes. Yeah, we can do that, so what is a sacred gear? That Chelsea chick sure knew about it. She continued, seeing that it was still a sore subject to him. Sacred gear are items made for the humans from God of the Bible. There are many sacred gears, and they are connected directly to the user's soul. Raynare has Twilight Healing, and before you ask, she stole it from a human. I was born with the gauntlet of the Red Dragon Emperor which you saw, Kiba has one that makes swords, and so on. Issei said as he thought about it, of the ones he knows have some, but none came to his mind. Satisfied with his answers, for now, both girls nodded and answered his unspoken question. Well, we came to an agreement that will help you with your problem, but know this now, if you do some things that we think are wrong, you can expect a shinai up your ass. We will start your training tomorrow after school at the Kendo Club. Do we have a deal? Said Caddis as she stood up and extended an arm to him. Seeing this, Issei felt joy and immediately agreed to their demands full-heartedly as he shook her hand. Yes, we have a deal. Now though, I think you two should go home, it's getting late. I will escort you back, now that you know of this world that I'm a part of, anything can happen, better safe than sorry. Issei stated as both he and the girls went out. As they were walking toward Kate's home, they had a small talk about what they were going to do and how they were going to help him. To say that Issei would be going through a world of pain was an understatement. He thought that at the end of his training regiment with a duo he would be able to take Drake's strongest attack head on and feel nothing. He knew that he was exaggerating, but still, from what he was told it didn't sound so much far from it. After about 10 minutes they left Caddis at her front door and then went to Murayama's place, as Murayama talks about how he was going to train in kendo to improve his stamina, also to increase his reflex speed. He felt that this part of the training wasn't so bad, but then again, he was going to be proven to be wrong so many times that he still didn't believe it was all that good. As they stopped in front of her house, Murayama turned around to look at him before speaking. Well, this is my stop, thank you for escorting us home, Ice. You are really a gentleman when you are not being a pervert. I like this side of you better than when you're a lecher. Thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow, and have a good night. Said Ice, but before he could turn around and walk away he was suddenly grabbed by Murayama as she kissed him on the lips for a few seconds before running into the house with a smile on her face and leaving a stupefied Issei in front of her house. What just happened? He thought as he was shell-shocked that the girl that hated his guts just kissed him on the lips. To think that he was kissed by two girls in one day was unimaginable to him. What just happened, partner, was your dragon part doing its magic. Like I told you, you unknowingly attracted those girls to you. That is what happens when they are exposed to your aura for a long period of time, they become attached to you. Drake answers his thoughts as he saw all that happened to his host that day, and to say that he was impressed at the speed that his host made two girls show affection towards him so quickly was something that even he couldn't do. Drake, do you think that Chelsea girl is a threat? Issei asks if he started walking home after a few minutes of being in a shell-shocked condition after what happened. To be honest, I don't know yet, I didn't see her abilities, but what is for sure is that she has a powerful sacred gear that in right hands could spell death to anyone. Best to be on your guard, partner, you never know what can happen next. Spoke the red dragon as he felt the presence earlier, but didn't want to alert his host as he didn't feel any malicious intentions towards him from the girl. Yeah, I guess you're right. Now though, that leaves us to what we should do with Rias and her gang. You don't need to worry about their partner, as you are now, you can probably take the midget rook, the blonde knight, and the crow easily, but her queen is on another level compared to you. You still need to improve your stamina and durability. Said Drake. You really think that I improved that much, Drake? Yes, and if you continue to improve. At this rate you will be able to match your king in no time. Thanks pal, that coming from you means a lot. Anytime, partner, now I'm going to sleep, so when you need me, you know how to call me. With that said, Drake cut the connection as he went to his slumber, leaving Issei alone as he entered his home and went to bed. Just as he was about to sleep, a red magic circle appeared in his room and from it came Rias as she looked depressed. Rias, what are you doing here at this time of night? Asked Issei as he was confused as to why she was here. Sorry, Issei, but I have no choice. She spoke as she quickly climbed on top of him and started undressing. What are you talking about? And why are you undressing yourself? He questioned as he felt uncomfortable. You're the only one that will do this for me, Ice. Kiba won't do it since his knight's pride won't let him, and I can't think of anyone else. Now stay down, I will do the rest. She answered as she unhooked her bra and threw it away. Issei, hearing this, started to get angry. Sure, he was glad and was looking forward to having sex with her, but the way it sounded and what she was doing was that set him off. She was using him again for her selfish things, and he hated being used. "And why do you think I will do it with you?" he asked as he started to pick himself up and pushed Rias away from him. "What? Am I not good enough for you?" she questioned, with her eyes slightly narrowing. "That's not what I am." He didn't finish his sentence as he saw another magic circle that he didn't recognize. As the circle shined brighter, a figure appeared out of it. When the light died down, Issei was left like he just saw a figure revealed itself to be a beautiful woman in her 20s. Her hair, which flows all the way down to her back, featured a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends, while the rest is let down, ending in twin braids. She was wearing a maid outfit that made her look, in his opinion, even sexier. Seeing her, Rias just sighed as she knew that it was too late for her plan to work. "So what brings you here, Grafia? Was it father, brother, or is this of your own accord?" the red-haired princess asked as she lifted herself from her pawn. "On all three accounts, my lady." The woman known as Grafia answered in a regal tone that very impressed Issei. "Why lower yourself to this worthless specimen, my lady? You should know better than to expose yourself to the lower classes. You are the heiress of the Grimoire after all," said Grafia as she looked at the position the two teens were in. Issei didn't know if he felt insulted or to be thankful to the maid for stopping Rias. So he settled for both. "You know I'm not some peasant lady," he told her sharply. That made her look at him and just raise her eyebrow at him. "Grafia, even though you are my brother's queen, I will not tolerate how you treat my cute and adorable servant. Is that understood?" Rias said as she relisted a small amount of her power to show her point. Grafia knew that even Rias and her peerage combined couldn't stand up to her even at 10% of her full power, but she also knew that she couldn't do anything to her since she was the little sister of her husband and he was way overprotective over his little sister. So she just did what was expected of her. "I'm terribly sorry for my words. My name is Grafia Lucifuge, the head maid of the Grimoire and the queen of Rias' brother," she stated as she bowed. "Rias never told me that she had a brother," Issei thought, until he remembered that he didn't show at the clubroom for more than a month, so even if she wanted to tell him, she couldn't. Apology accepted. "My name is Issei Hyodo, the current Sekiryu and the pawn of Rias' Grimoire. It's a pleasure to meet you, Grafia," he said as he stood up and bowed to the maid. Grafia widens her eyes a little bit at hearing that her sister-in-law had gained a very powerful piece. "Now that the pleasantries are over, my lady, we need to go. We have a very important meeting to attend to," stated Grafia as she dressed Rias and a little later activated her circle. "Can Akeno come with me?" asked Rias as she is now dead. "Princess of Thunder? I see no problem in that. It's acutely a very good thing to have a king escorted by his queen," was the reply from the silver-haired maid. With a nod, Rias turned to her pawn and kissed his cheek. "Let's forget all about this, Ice. I will explain everything in the morning. Please come tomorrow," said the Crimson Princess as she teleported with the maid. As soon as they were gone, Issei asked his partner about the queen of Rias' brother. "Greg, are you awake? I need to ask you something." "Yes, partner, I was awoken by a sudden increase in magic." "You want to know who that maid was and about her master?" questioned Drake, as he could clearly feel that the maid was still as strong as he remembered. "Yes, if you know about them, maybe that could help in the future," Issei replied. "I do know about both of them, and from the look of things it looks like they are still as I remember them. That maid was, and still is, the second strongest female devil in the underworld, second only to current Mau, has mastery over ice, and if I remember her sister also has it, but with a mix of light. Sadly, I can't remember her name, but I did remember how she looked, and if ever cross paths with her, if she is alive of course, I will tell you if it's her. As for her master, he is the one of the three known super devils. Surzich is Lucifer, the master of the power of destruction that your master has, but only on a much higher level," answered Drake as he still tried to remember about a little girl that was his last host. "Wow, they are that strong, Drake?" asked Issei as he felt that even at his full power and then some he wouldn't stand even a second against any of them. "They are partners, and I won't lie. If you want to get your own peerage, you would need to up your training regimen even more, but we will need to find a strong dragon to train you. Since only a dragon can train a dragon, and you need to be ready for pain, a lot of pain if you plan to go to the next stage of power and unlock Balance Breaker," said Drake with a battle-hungry smile at a thought that his partner was going to get to fight a strong opponent and that he was going to fight someone that was at his level or higher. Issei just sweated and shivered at the thought of having to train and maybe fight against a full-grown dragon. "Yeah, that sounds like fun," he said sarcastically as he sounded terrified of that idea. As he finished his conversation with his dragon resident, Issei fell to sleep having no idea what was going to happen tomorrow. As the morning came, Issei woke up having a very bad feeling about this meeting at the old school. With that in mind, he got ready and headed toward school. After about 10 to 15 minutes he arrived at the clubroom, only to be surprised at seeing the maid standing beside his king. "Oh, Ice, you made it. That's good, now we can start the meeting," stated Rias as she felt a little at ease that her secretary had finally arrived. "My lady, do you want me to tell them?" Grafia asked politely. Shaking her hand to the sides, Rias replied, "No, I will tell them. After all, this is my problem, and my period should hear it from me." Taking a deep breath, Rias started to say until something interrupted her. "Everyone, the truth is that I'm a Nenga." Everyone turns to look at what stopped her from saying anything further, and what they saw was a magic circle with an unknown symbol to Issei at least. Though that only lasted for a moment since Rias answered his unasked question with venom in her voice. Phoenix. Thanks for watching this video. Movie 1 is over. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the playlist that I have created and enjoy. Link is in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.